The Open is coming. You know the dates, and if you're someone who's worried conditioning is holding you back, then we have the answer. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Take the guesswork out of your conditioning pieces with a one-time payment of $40. That's less than 20 cents per workout. Choose between single implement workouts utilizing a fan bike, rower, ski erg, bike erg, and running, or multi-implement mixed machine workouts. You can't put a price on fitness, but we can put a price on improving yours. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Upgrade your engine now at trainsentinel.com.
Welcome to Coffee by the Wads. This is our annual year in review. I'm just gonna make you guys smaller for a minute. That we started doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Myself, Chase, and Bill did it. 2 years ago, myself, Chase, and Bill did it. Last year, myself, Chase, Bill, and Spin did it. Right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
That accurate?
Close enough.
That's accurate enough. Close enough. Wow, I had a wheeze there. Before we get going, I want to go through just some people who have helped all year financially. I mean, people have helped in other ways. But Defiant Co are doing like a 12 days of Christmas thing, and every day they have a different gift or a different discount or a different whatever, like buy two get, I was going to say buy two get one, buy two get, yeah, it is buy two get one. But get three, I guess, buy two get three. And today I think is you can order a mystery box at a discounted rate, but you have to be on their mailing list. So if you go to their website, Defiant Co, you can click in and you can do that. I've also got Perform. If you go to, I should know this discount.
Killing it.
This is great.
I don't know. Go to that website. I'll just buy something anyway. But if you click, if you go through my Instagram, you'll get a discount. I think it's actually 25%. It's not insignificant. Still waiting for my photo to come up here. I don't know. It's weird that they're not putting me there, but anyway. And it's mainly for a UK and Irish customer, although you pay significant shipping, I guess, if you order from the States. And if you go to Frog Grips, and I do know the code for this one, if you use CPW16, you get 16% off. Everyone else only gets 15%.
Yeah, if you want 15%, wow. If you want 15% off, you Spin. It's your choice.
Yeah, so if you want to save less.
How do you get 16?
Yeah, if you want to save 1% less, you Spin.
Are those really nice?
I sucked off the owner.
For 1%,
I sucked off the owner.
You must be damn good.
Yeah, there's actually two owners, so I ski pulled them. There's two owners. No, I think he was like, look, we always do 15, so let's do 16 because it's more memorable, and it worked because I actually remembered. That's the first discount code I've remembered that I've shown so far. You don't need this discount code for this one. If you go to GoWad, they've got 30% off their gift cards, so you can buy a gift card for cheaper than you would normally buy it, and it's an e-card too, so you can, if you've not prepared yourself effectively for Christmas, you can do that. All right, the reason we're here is we're going to do a review of the year. So I gave the guys some questions, and initially I was just going to give the guys questions, and then I thought, oh, why don't I ask everybody, and then we can compare our answers to like the real world answers. The fuck is that group chat? There it is. So the questions that I asked, I only asked you guys 6 questions. So I asked best female, best male, best video, best podcast episode, best moment, and best social media channel. And then I added some extra questions to the real world survey, like the normies. I added some questions, some extra questions to that. So what we're going to do is I want to thank Barkley, because I did my I fucking love this picture so much. I did my isn't it so weird how there's like a few things to talk about here. Chase and Bill perfectly fit in. I didn't change anything. Their heads were exactly the right size. I made spin look like fucking Beaker out of the Muppets because I could not. You do not have a lot of pictures of you online. Like there's not a lot. You've basically got no digital footprint, probably deliberately. So that was hard. And then Barclay, I put Barclay as Pam, and he was absolutely disgusted and was like, "I have to be Jim." I was like, "You're not being Jim. You're just stuck as you are." So I did it on SurveyMonkey, and I was planning on kind of counting all the answers, or like working out how, like there is a pie chart in SurveyMonkey, but there's some of the questions had enter an answer rather than multiple choice, so they were kind of harder. And I was talking to Barclay about it, and I really do want to thank him a lot because he was great. He was so helpful. But I gave him access to it. So initially I said, "What's the best way for me to do this?" He was like, "Oh, I'm at nothing at work. I'm not at work." He definitely wasn't doing this on company time. He was like, "Oh, I'm not at work, and I'll have a look at it for you if you want." And I was like, "Yeah, please." And he made this whole thing. But initially he said, "Well, thank God that I offered to do it," because he realized that I was going to count and type over. He was like, "You can just download it, and then it just does everything for you." And I was like, "Oh, that probably makes more sense." So
Technologies
took
are
him
great,
half
man.
the time it's going to take me.
They're great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's also great if you know how to do
when you
that
know how
stuff,
to
which
use
he
it.
does know how to do that stuff. He's amazing.
Exactly. Look, this is like, I just, Bill's face working so perfectly just freaks me out every time I see it. All right. So the first question I asked was best female athlete. Does anybody have what they think is an unusual answer for this?
Nope.
No.
No.
If you have anything
No.
other
Okay.
than one name, you're wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So going through, so these are the votes. So these are the in brackets, sorry, parentheses, after is the number of people that voted for each of these.
It's
So
like a high
2 people
school
voted for Alexis Rappers.
Her parents.
2 people voted for Daniel Brandon. And now I will say, you'll see here and you'll see on the next slide that it sort of devolved into a popularity contest pretty quickly. Alex Kazan, 3 votes. Haley Adams, 11 votes. We're getting up towards it now. Emily Rolfe, 20 votes. Finished, third at the games. It's her best career finish to date. Laura Horvath, 88. Where is she? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay. Are you surprised she's that low?
Yes.
I mean, like,
because that's not number 2.
I'm not surprised. I
I'm
think
not.
there's.
I'm not surprised.
If you
Do you
start
think
thinking
it's
about this from
popularity contest coming out?
I think it's more shocking that Emily is at 3 than Laura is at 2.
I feel like they're doing it relative
No, she's
to.
not.
I don't
their
think that's 2.
expectations.
That's like 4 or 5, Bill.
So
Oh.
10, 9,
Oh,
8,
you got.
7,
it's 10. Oh,
5.
I'm sorry. Okay, that's lower than I thought it would be.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I think you look at it
or Spin. What were you going to say if you think about it from what?
like relative to expectations. Like people, I think, are voting for Haley Adams because they are happy to see her back. Emily Rolfe exceeded expectations at the games, so she was the best athlete of the year. It's not right, but I think you'll see a couple others on there that probably are from that relative angle. If I was going to guess.
Here you go. There's only 9 for the women, with just a detail.
Come on, Pam.
All right. Ariel Lowen above Laura Horvath. Is that
No.
confusing?
But that's exactly what Spin's talking about. Like, I think that when you're saying best, I mean, if you're talking like actual finishes, that's one thing. But I think on a lot of this, Haley, Ariel, they're just awesome. They're just. It's like, they got a cool kind of story. They got a cool comeback. They got all these other things, and that kind of adds to their.
Yeah, but Ariel's had a good year.
No, totally, 100%.
Not just thinking games terms, and maybe that's where other people are coming from. I went back and forth a little bit like that for the men.
Totally.
Like, am I just going to pick the guy who won the CrossFit Games or the guy who's just had a hell of a year outside of place finishing 2, and more of like a name that may come up here that I was going back and forth with was Gabby Magawa. And she's had a hell of a year since the last CrossFit
Oh,
Games.
well, look
there
at
you
that.
go. Look at
There
that.
you go.
And I think that's a big part of why it was so sad to see what happened to her at Rogue.
Dude, that was super sad.
It felt like she was right there because she's been lockstep with Laura. They've been buddies and training partners for a long time. Whatever happened at the games and the fall there, outside of that, like Gabby just looked like she was ready to take off on her own in a level of playing, spoiler at that 1, 2, 3 level between her, Laura, and Tia.
Guys,
Yes.
this has never
Yes.
happened before. Mrs. Spin is in the chat. In
Whoa.
my chat.
How about
On
that?
this show. I've never seen her here before. Welcome, Mrs.
I
Spin.
didn't know there was a.
There might be a reason.
What was that face? I'll tell you what that fucking face was. So Angelo DeChico was on the show last Wednesday and he was drinking Fit Aid. And I said, oh, I don't really like Fit Aid that much. And he said, no, it's great, whatever. And I said, oh, I don't know. I find it kind of metallic-y, whatever. So I was influenced, and fuck you, Angelo DeChico, it tastes like shit. I took a mouthful and I was like, oh, it's exactly the way I knew it would be. Why did I do that? And I'm fucking annoyed now. Okay, so Gabby McGowan's in second. And yeah, I think amazing year. Like she, great games, considering everything. And with the benefit of hindsight as well, when you see what's happened since, and when you think of what was probably going on for her during the games, on top of everything else, the fact that she'd had this, like, what has turned out to be a falling out, and her relationship ended and all that, like that was obviously all going on in the immediate aftermath too. I'm sure there was arguments and stuff during it, and then she still performed the way she performed, and she was on course to finish presumably second at Rogue if things were going the way. I did that bullshit Hiller workout, and I cannot clear my throat. So I'm going to be talking like I smoke 40 cigarettes a day. And top voted, Tia Claire Toomey with fucking hell, nearly
But how could it not be
600
like that?
votes more.
Did you expect to get 1,000
sense,
votes
right?
when you made this?
No, so I was like, right, if I clear like 300 or 400, it's going to give a good scope.
Mhm.
And then what happened was I was winning best podcast, and I was like, no, like this is too it's too narrow a field because that shouldn't be happening. So I said, I asked Hiller to share it, and I asked Spin to share it because I knew that they'd have the largest audience. And they have the quickest, I've found the quickest turnaround of, what would you call it? Like a call to action. Like if Hiller says, hey, everybody go and do the comment on this or like this, whatever, like everybody does it. So it jumped from 300 to, or from 150 to 350 or something within about 20 minutes after Hiller shared it. And then similar jump when Spin shared it. So thanks, fellas. So yeah, there's over 1,000. I think Barkley was shocked as well. I think he probably bit off more than he could chew when I said, oh, you have a look at this survey. And then he texted me and was like, geez, that's a crazy amount of responses. So yeah, Tia, come back, baby, all the rest, like set, a crazy time, even last weekend, High Rocks, like she's unstoppable. And it's no surprise to you there. My wife, just before we started this, my wife said, oh, any surprises on it? And I said, yeah, like a few little bits. She said, I started filling it in and then it asked for a favorite YouTube and I just bailed. She's like, I'm not that into it. But she said, who won best female? And I said, Tia. And she goes, oh, it's a bit boring. And I was like, yeah, but like, you can't pick anyone else. No. I mean, people obviously did, but it's pure, well, I'm not picking Tia. Like, that's the only reason you would pick Alexis Raptis is because she is your favorite, not because she was the best.
Yeah. I've never flipped so hard on an athlete before as I have with Tia this year. Actually, I guess with Tia and Laura, just the way that they split. Because I wanted Tia taken down last year. I wanted her just to be assassinated by Laura. And with the way everything went down this year and the way not her physical prowess is what it is. Like, she's just so off the charts. It's amazing. But I think the way that I have seen her carry herself this year with how she was at the games, with how she was at Rogue, with how she was at the Tier Cup. Just watching her do what she did, it was like, okay, yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I just wanted you to get beat because I was tired of seeing you win. But now it's like you're not just a better athlete, like you are like head and shoulders above everybody else. Like you're in your own stratosphere as far as like, I mean, even like I was so tired of hearing about Willow and everything. I was sick of it all. I was sick of the whole package, you know. And then like all of a sudden it was like, you know what? No, you are the whole package. You are mature. You love the sport. You're there for the athletes. You can push everyone, and I guess you can do that when you can literally crush everyone in your sleep. So it's just I've never gone from wanting to see someone taken down so bad to being like, no, you are the one. So hard. It's crazy.
And I think
it's also like,
sorry,
go on, Chase.
Was we're talking sports here,
right?
We're not saying like in your personal life, I hope you have ultimate demise. It's like, no. I'm just tired of watching the Patriots win the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny as well because it's kind of, like, you know, like, so say soccer is the other sport that I follow. I'm sure there's other parallels in like American football and basketball and all that shit too. But like the two best players for the last, whatever, like 15 years have been Ronaldo and Messi. And the conversation every year is who's better, like it's still now, the two of them are gone shit. And it's still the conversation now in schools where in the class, the kids will say, who's better, Ronaldo or Messi? And it's like, I mean, there's three better players than both of them now that I can name off the top of my head, but you're still stuck on those two. And I think like Tia's our Ronaldo and Messi, that she's just that much better than everyone else, that for years and years to come, it'll just, that she's be the benchmark and nobody will come close to it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so congratulations, Tia. And I'll just add her to the stream. No, not here. So, best male. And in lowest position, like not last. I mean, I got last position. I don't think I got any votes. So like this isn't last. It's just like the lowest of the most consistent people who are voted for. So nobody likes a sympathy vote, and this is clearly what this is. It's like a memorandum vote. So Lazar's in like 10th or whatever, but I mean it's irrelevant. Like, you know, fine, whatever, but it's not, it's like best male. It's not who do you miss the most, or like, who do you want to remember or whatever. So it's just kind of,
but just like Gazan got her spots, So I mean, it could be what was the possibility of, maybe it's not just in memorandum of, which is a little dark.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. All right. Before I get cancelled, there's no disrespect towards anyone there. It's just like, that's how I saw it. When I saw he got 2 votes, I was like, all right, that's like a memorial vote, because how could anyone argue that he was the best male athlete? You know what I mean? It's just not an argument. Ricky Garrard, 1 spot above him. Pat Vellner, 1 spot above. I was kind of surprised he was that high. I thought he had like not a great year really. It's
what he's done off the field.
I would have put him down there because of
like that. He's in the forefront of people's minds, kind of.
Yes. I think that's just like a popular, but like you have to have him on there because it's Pat Vellner. He hasn't had a spectacular year.
Yeah, I feel this is probably a better way to say what I said. It's kind of a time person of the year vote, the Lazar one, which is accurate. All right, Taylor Self. He would not himself put himself that high on that list. Like he has a phenomenal sense of self-confidence, but he wouldn't put himself that high. So again, that's like the popularity contest. Do
you think anybody went and grew in popularity as much as Taylor did this year, though?
No, Taylor. I'd say Taylor and Colton are probably neck and neck for who gained the most off-floor attention, respect. Whatever you want to call it, growth.
Yeah.
I don't mean like personal growth. Taylor Self has never had personal growth. I mean like social media growth.
I mean, everyone that's going to be on this list are going to be
Colton's over 100,000 followers. 100,000
Totally.
followers. Colton
Dude,
Mertens.
he is a crowd
crazy.
favorite, man.
He had 40,000 a year ago.
He's doing things that people should not be able to do. You know what I mean? And that is I mean, there aren't many athletes, I don't think, that are inspiring because they're badasses. They're supposed to be badass. But like, he is inspiring because I just don't think he should be able to be as good as he is, and he just is. And the cool thing with Taylor is that, like, everyone that's going to be on here are going to be games athletes. Like, what he's been able to do and the things he's done this year, I think. I mean, no, he's not the best athlete by any means, but that is a popular athlete vote right there for sure. So
I deserve one too, because when you think about it, he puts his reputation. He really put his reputation on the line in February, and again in quarterfinals. Like where is that? The dude passed out on a box jump. Like, so, like, he really left his soul bare. And then he puts his reputation on the line every week. Like, I was over at my in-laws last week, and they were asking on Saturday, we're doing Kill Taylor, and I finished up, and they were asking what the premise of the show was. And I was kind of explaining it. I didn't go into too much detail about what we talk about, but I kind of explained the broad concept of the show. And one of them said, "Oh, is that not like he's not the best in the world? So how does he do?" And I made the point of saying, well, the best in the world won't call in. So he has to beat whoever calls in. He has to set out his benchmark, and then people have to come in and try and beat his score. And I said, so it's more for like the lay person. And then it gets to a point where you start saying, oh shit, like people start calling in when it gets worth their while. But it's only worth their while when they're thinking, okay, now it's worth the potential embarrassment of not winning because it's $3,000 or $1,500, whatever. Whereas for Taylor, he does that every week. It's worth the potential embarrassment. And I give him some shit for losing, but like, man, it's fucking crazy impressive what he does.
Do you think
Jason Hopper? Sorry, go on.
Do you think if it was flipped, do you think he would come on every week? Like if it was some other athlete out there, do you think he'd do like?
I think he'd do what Colton does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like come in and bitch slap.
Yeah,
drop the hammer on the ones that you know that you can.
Drink muscles in this one. I'm in.
Yeah. Jason Hopper, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Like, especially when you compare this year to last year. That's someone who's had a complete flip of fortunes. You could say because he moved home. You could say because JR was more involved. You could say because he changed, like his mentality obviously changed with the changes he was making, as in like all those things just aligned and gave him maybe more freedom to perform or more confidence to perform. Would that be fair?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the comeback athlete of the year.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And he didn't even have a baby. James Sprague, are you surprised James is not at the top of this list?
No, I'm not.
No.
And, God bless him.
I don't think I mean, he's every single show that he's ever been on since he won the games is the premise of, so do you really think you're the fittest? Every single one.
I know, that poor guy, man.
I mean, like that's gotta suck. But I think that even himself, I mean, yeah, he won the games for sure. But I don't know if he would say that I don't know if he would say I'm the best, I'm the fittest of everyone in the year. Like I'm the greatest athlete of the year. I don't know if he would say that.
Who's gotten it tougher, James Sprague or Graham Holmberg?
James Sprague.
Sprague for sure. Yes.
Yeah, because like with Graham, it was like, oh, so you really weren't supposed to win. With James, it was like, yeah, it doesn't really count. It's like it's not even thought of it. Like no one even said, like everyone knew that Graham was good, but like, okay, we get it. Rich couldn't climb a rope. I got it. Mm-hmm. But like with James, it's like everyone's like, nah, and that sucks, man. Like,
yeah, the hard part is
he did great this year. He did fantastic at the game. So
the hard part is he followed up with Rogue, and I know that he had pneumonia, but you take 11th, right, against the field, basically the same field,
right?
And you're not in the top 10. If you finish top 5,
yeah,
probably
I give him props for still doing it though.
Man, could you imagine all that talk and then going into Rogue with like pneumonia? It's like, well, is it worth even doing it at that point? Just to, but that I like the youth of him with that, where it's like, screw it, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna do it. Not being afraid of like his, I don't know, reputation or his numbers or his score. That's huge. I think a lot of the younger athletes are way more that way than the older athletes were. They were very concerned about what they looked like and how they were going to do. And like these younger guys, they just get out there and mix it up. And I really like that.
Yeah. Great. Just amazing, Patrick.
Oh wow.
Brent's
timing.
ahead of James. Now, I think that might be. So yeah, he had a great year. When you think back, Wadapalooza, he podiumed at Wadapalooza, podiumed at the games, podiumed at Rogue. So great, and arguably like a great year. Maybe his best year. Definitely close to his best year. But it's probably a recency thing of like, oh, Brent's retiring. And similar to Vellner making it to, like, Vellner shouldn't be on the list at all, I don't think. But Vellner making it to the list is because because he has fans and because he's like in the forefront of people's mind because of all the PFA stuff. I think it's the same. Brent has had a great year. But I think by athlete standards, a great year. By his standards, a really good year. I don't think it was a great year by his standards, but I think it was a really good year. Like, it was really
I
good,
would say it's his
but it
best
wasn't
year.
like amazing.
Most consistent.
Brent got, forget about this. He got second at Tier Wadapalooza, third at the games, and second at Rogue. That's a pretty solid year.
Pretty solid, dude. That's fucking awesome year. Like, what the heck? It's not pretty. Hey, Graham, you did okay.
Yeah, he was on the podium 3 times.
Yeah, nobody else was.
I think if he hadn't fucked up the last workout at the games, it would be the best. Like, he'd be inarguably the best athlete of the year had he not fucked up the last event at the games.
Yes. Without a doubt.
That has to be fucking annoying.
Like, to do that in your retirement year, where when did he come out and say that, like, hey, this is going to be the last deal? Was that after the game?
2 weeks before Rogue or something?
Yeah.
I would actually say that Brent's involvement or ownership of PFA actually went to his detriment of votes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I could think that.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
I could think that.
Because I think if you look at just his performance of the year, he probably deserves more.
Yeah, I mean, Adler did one event. He did Rogue. He bailed on the games. He didn't
do
Rogue.
Wadapalooza.
Didn't do Wadapalooza. Well, he did semifinals, obviously. Did Rogue. Won Rogue. But like, Brent has 3 major competition podiums: an off-season, the big show, and Rogue. And Jeff has nearly 200 more votes than him, which he's not 200 votes better than him. So I'd agree with Spin. I'd say the PFA stuff hurt him.
Yep.
He took a hit for that.
You don't think he's 200 points better than Fikowski?
Not this year.
I do.
Not from his actual performance.
He didn't do the fucking games.
I understand. I understand that. I get it. I get that. But that's just like saying that since James Sprague did do the games and he won, he should be 200 points above because of where he finished. Seeing what he did, seeing what Adler did at Rogue, seeing what he did at the semis, and knowing what he did, I say he's better. I mean,
what if he did? What if he did do the games and finished
better?
fifth?
It's who performed better. Who performed better?
Yeah,
Sprague got 7th
Adler
at
is
Wadapalooza.
fucking...
Right. Well, that's what we're saying. Like, who's the and that's where it gets into, okay, well, how did you define, or how are you defining what the best is, whether it's the most popular or if it's who had the potential or who performed in X, Y, and Z events in going across the board that way. The games makes it hard because that takes performances out of it. And because someone gets it, it's like, well, they have more performances now. So, but are they a better are they the better athlete? I don't know. I mean, Adler
By
by
withdrawing from the
far.
games, Adler kept the illusion of not losing. So, like, if he had done the games and finished 5th,
If he would have done the games and been his 5th,
do you know what I
then
mean?
yeah, he would have been lower. But I don't think he. I don't think he
But that's the
would've.
point I'm making. He didn't do the
I get it.
games, but he
I know,
didn't
I
do the
understand.
games.
I
So we can't
understand.
say,
I
oh, well,
understand.
he would have won it if he did it. It's like, you can't, the games is irrelevant because he didn't do it. So you
What if
just
Tia
remove
didn't do the
that
games?
for him.
What if Tia didn't do the games?
But Tia is a freak. That's totally different.
Oh, so then there's caveats to the presumption of part.
Tia I genuinely believe Tia could amputate one of her legs from the knee down and still win.
Probably not untrue.
Okay, so who's ahead of Adler then?
Dallin.
Yep.
Dallin Pepper by
Wow.
5 votes.
5
He's gonna
votes.
Fucking
Oh,
love
wow.
What?
Wow.
that. He's gonna love that.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's I find it hard. Like, I find it hard to argue against it. It's just Brent really, I think, should be. I don't know. I think it should at least be a lot closer. But I think Dallin just had a great year. Like, he just had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he had a great year, or that, like, I mean, he's such a cool kid. He is such a, like, he's nice to talk to. Oh, what's up, Dallin? I mean, he's just such a
Good thing I
sound.
voted for myself, Dallin Pepper.
He's just a nice guy to be around and to talk to, and he's cool and he's fun and he's energetic and he's, you know, photogenic and he's down to do whatever. Like, he just has such a cool personality with that. Do you think that added to that moved him over with his performance? Because then that's, again, what are you talking about?
That was my pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did you have him as best?
Because I looked at it through not just, okay, who is the fittest person this year? You know, who was on top of the leaderboard at the CrossFit Games this year? I looked in terms of, like, who has had the best year relative to the previous years of their career. And where I looked at it too is that not only was it just performance on the competition floor, which is clear for Dallin, but it was also outside performances and things like him, Jason, and Ricky at Tier Wadapalooza in Miami, that whole thing. And I think that really started to kickstart everybody's, I don't know, people started falling in love with Dallin because of his personality and what he was doing. And he was always down for whatever, and he didn't take himself too seriously. At least he did a good job of, like, portraying that from the outside looking in. And then his performance at the games. But what more I wanted to give to him is that, you know, his performance at the Tier Cup, him taking charge there, I think he was the MVP personally. That was my vote as well. Mm-hmm. But for someone that has such massive success as a young teen, and how many other teens have we seen have some issues, mostly on the women's side, in living up to those high expectations. Dallin won every single year he touched the floor as a teen. And then it took him, 2 or 3 years to get back to the games as an individual. One of the very first men to make that jump when girls were doing it at like 16 or 17 at the time. Mm-hmm. And to just to see that, for him to not let that deter him, or, you know, I don't know the hard times for Dallin when he was just trying to get back in the games. And when you have that much success that young and to come back and do what he's done this year, I thought Dallin had the best overall year relative to his growth as an athlete. And it was really fun to watch.
Yeah. Super fun to watch. Dude, my absolute favorite thing this entire year watching him was him and Brent at the Tier Cup on that that sprint on the. That was awesome. Awesome.
I also feel like the thing with Dallin is that there's a lot of untapped potential for off competition floor stuff, like for media, for like he has a great personality that I think I'd argue
he's
like maybe 75-80% of it has come through. And I think like he has a lot of potential to really become a face of the sport. And especially because he's like, whatever, fucking 12 years old. Like he has a really long career ahead of him. Mrs. Spain wants to know, why does Ricky only have 3 votes? Well, like he won Wadapalooza and then got injured at the games and then didn't podium at Rogue. So I mean, I kind of get it as well. Like, yeah, he should be higher than Taylor and Colton realistically, but I don't think he should be higher than Jason or James or Brent or Adler or Pepper.
Yeah, I think
Is
a
that
lot
fair?
of the people that voted based on performance that went to the top 3. And then
Yeah.
you had a lot of fan favorites and Ricky lost out to those that did have a better year. He probably should have gotten the votes of those who picked on popularity, right? So he probably should have been 4th.
Yeah, I say that's fair. All right. So congratulations, Alan Pepper, male athlete of the year. All right, God, I fucking love these pictures. Right, best coach. All right, got Dom D'Agostino and Justin Kotler. Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with either of them being like they both deserve to be on the list. Don't think either of them deserve to be any higher on the list, but they both deserve to be on the list. Like, I guess I'm saying that because I know who's ahead of them.
I was like, I heard I was on the list.
Max El-Haj, like deserves to be on the list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably put the 3 down together, maybe. Taylor Self, no. Like, when you think about it as the sport, which is how I read. Like, if it's like best coach, you're like, oh, Brendan that works in my affiliate, like that's
Right.
we're having a different conversation there. But when it's like, if it's an affiliate coach, sure. If it's like programming or like a coach on a programming platform, sure. But in this conversation, he shouldn't be there because he didn't have any athletes at the games. I think he had maybe one at Crash and one at semifinals. Maybe, I'm not actually sure. But he didn't have the amount. Yeah. Jake Marconi, Kyle Rolfe. Hard to argue with either of those. Like, Jake Marconi coached Brooke and Jason.
Did he?
Both had
Maybe.
Jake Marconi was involved with coaching Brooke and Jason. Both had a really good year. We could argue the semantics of why they had a really good year until the cows come home. But yeah, it should actually probably be Jake Marconi / J.R. Howe. But anyway, Kyle Rolfe, Emily finished like a career best. Like, can't really argue against him being on the list. Like, she had, was great at Tier SoCal. She was great at, all the she's just consistent, really. Like,
She had a hell of a year.
J.R. Howe beats Jake Marconi by 3 votes.
How many athletes?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It is hard to argue. It is hard to argue. Like, we know he had a hand with some of the HWPO, like with Jason and with Brooke kind of helping out a little bit. And yeah, like, he's obviously had an impact. I mean, we can't know what impact because we can't we can't do the same year again without him being involved with them. But the athletes are clearly happy working with him and having input from him. And I think Jake was happy having input from him and assistance from him as well. So, like, deserved spot, I'd say. Coach L. Now, after Coach L in brackets, we actually put the number of athletes that he worked with. Oh no, that's the votes he got. So he's on 78 votes. This surprised me that he was that high on the list, because
I'm surprised that many people know him.
Well, I think that many people know him because he's been talked about by this guy. No, but he's been mentioned as in, like, everyone knows he's Danielle's coach. Did she have a great year? Like, no, not particularly. He's Kelsey Keel's coach. She had a good year, like, missed out, kind of came close or whatever, but still not great. I don't know, like, he works with a lot of other athletes. Nobody stands out in my mind as, oh shit, oh, that's why. Like, that's what that athlete is the reason why he's so high on this list, which makes me think he probably shouldn't be where he is. Do you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it's
he's
for a
had
number of athletes coached, sure.
Right. Which is a lot, which is a lot. I mean, not talking about like like a templated, platform sort of thing. But I mean, he did seem to have his hands on everybody, but there wasn't anyone like for sure this year.
Yeah, nobody stands out.
Mm-mm.
So it's interesting. Jason's obviously working with him now. So he's, I mean, and if you just purely base it off this poll, Jason has moved up in the world because he was working with Jake and JR, and now he's moved up in the rankings, just purely based off this. All right, got Ben Smith, who worked with Gabby Magawa and Laura up until the games, and then stayed with Gabby at the games, and now appears to at least no longer work with Laura, who seems to be working with Elliot Simmons and what was the name of theirs? QHP or something? I can't remember the name of their coaching. I think that's fine. I think he deserves to be there. Yeah, Gabby had a great year. We were just talking about how she could have been and maybe should have been, and the injury and everything else, but she was right up there. I think that he deserves to be there, right?
Yeah.
Now that was good to see on the list. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about Ben.
Yeah.
He's hard to think because I still see him as like an athlete rather than a coach. You know what I mean? Because he's almost like the training partner of, rather than let me sit down there and get technical about your movements and think about strategies and.
Well, that nobody talks about him as being the coach.
Right.
Yeah, he's always in the background. Like
Right.
he seems to deliberately hide himself almost, which is kind of cool. But from a media standpoint, you're like, come on, Ben. Do something.
That's his MO. He's always been like that.
Caroline Lambre is above him.
This was before your podcast.
Or after, and maybe she should have had 259.
Maybe.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, like she's done a great job with Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've heard people make this argument about Shane, that he hasn't made anyone else a champ. He just did it with Tia. He hasn't turned anyone else into, like, you could argue the same thing with Caroline. It's like, well, she's done it with Jeff, but is Jeff a freak? Like, is Jeff a freak the same way Tia's a freak? And that I could coach Jeff to win the games. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like Ben's done it multiple times. Like he did it with Laura, he did it with Gabby. Obviously, Gabby was more of a finished product than when Caroline started working with Jeff or whatever. And like the other most of the other coaches anyway. Not Kyle only works at Emily, but like most of the other coaches that are on the list there have done it with multiple people. And they've gotten them to similar levels as each other. Whereas Caroline's only done it with Jeff. So I guess that'd be my only thing of like, yeah. I mean, I guess.
Until I
think when we see the people above her, it'll make sense too. Sorry, man.
Is Caroline third?
I can't remember. Yeah.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I think Shane being above Caroline makes sense. I think him not being first makes sense. But I think the historical argument that was there with the Tia thing is starting to be quieting down with the impact he's had on Jay and Maddie, and that he will start having on other athletes now, I think, too, because he's starting to kind of spread out the number of athletes that he works with rather than just working with her. And like, I mean, Jay and Maddie have come on leaps and bounds since they joined Proven and since they specifically started working with him too.
No, Maddie, we were talking about Jason being comeback athlete of the year. I was like, Maddie Sturt has a claim to that as well. It's been cool to see her come back.
Oh shit, that's the wrong comment. Hang on, this one. Adam Neiffer. Yeah, should Adam Neiffer be on the list?
Not this year.
I mean, yeah, true. Is Shane being on the list? Is everybody happy with him there in second? Does anybody think he deserves first? Second seems fair, right?
Knowing who's first makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you know who's first?
Yes.
Now we all do.
Mr. Torres has to be.
Dang.
I think that's fair. I think the only surprise I had is that there isn't a bigger gap, because I think he had an unbelievable year. Like what he did with Dallin, what he did with James, across multiple competitions. And I think the impact that he's had, I know it's only of the year, but I think the impact that he's had on the two of them over the last 5 years plus is crazy, considering when he started working with them and where he's brought them to. And I think one thing that's really impressive is that he manages to work with two people who are rivals of each other and manages that situation really well, as like coaching them and stuff.
Yeah. I think what he's been able to do the last several years, like managing athletes, like being able to manage, I mean, Danielle throughout the whole process in different, yeah, whatever. Right. But you would have thought that would have been the end. Right. Because at the time, I think when Danielle moved over, she was a bit radioactive as far as like taking her on. And I think he handled that situation great the last year or two. And then to see where his athletes have gone in the last year, it's been because I don't, was it 2 years ago where he had he had 5 for 5 at the CrossFit Games. And I didn't give him very credit because I was like, well, you inherited most of those. Mm-hmm. And that's when my argument, I believe, was for Caroline. So maybe it was last year. And to see how those athletes have grown since then and the consistency there, I think is a good point from Matt.
I like the fact that
someone
he
takes
has
phone off, please.
Are you guys reading comments? I was like, what am I saying here? Am I saying something dumb?
No, can I just say, sorry, Bill, before you go. So Svan says Jake Lockhart of Facundo. Someone else said Kiefer. Someone else said Michelle Latondra. Like Michelle is like no Latondra either. Like we just talked about how Pat didn't have a great year, so she just shouldn't be on the list. But where's Tanner Show? But there were people. Like they did get votes, they just got less than 9 each. Do you know what I mean? So that people did vote for Kiefer, people did vote for Jake Lockhart, Facundo, but they just got less than 9 total votes. Sorry, Bill, what were you going to say there?
Oh, I was just going to say I like the way that Torres has. It's like he's not overreaching for athletes and he's not underreaching for athletes. So just trying to keep one. He has a nice, tight little stable of athletes, and he keeps like a fairly. A very manageable group where he seems to be able to be involved and take all the innuendo stuff out of it, but like he's involved with his athletes to kind of get them where they need to be. So I think that's pretty cool to see him work with those athletes, and like Chase was saying, like a vast variety of personalities, even though it's a small group. That's got to be tough to do.
I think as well, like the fact that Jason wanted to move and moved to Brute. And that's if you're any kind of a magpie type coach, Matt will be like, oh yeah, like I'll work with you. You just finished 4th at the games. So you just podiumed at Rogue. I'll work with you. But he was aware of the situation, the potential problems that would cause with Dallin and James. And was like, no, you can go with L, or L, you work with him or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously somewhere in those conversations, it became apparent that like this probably isn't a good idea. And I think I had him on the show and I had Dallin on the show, and I asked both of them, if someone was to ask, if a male athlete was to ask, hypothetically, if Hopper was to ask, and both of them had said no. And I think the fact they stuck to that shows his, his ability to stick to his guns as a coach, and the sensitivity he has to off-field stuff and to the to managing situations and all that, which he's clearly had to do a lot of with Dallin and James, managing expectations, moving up. I was going to say transitioning, but moving up into the elite field from teenage and stuff. Like that's not easy to do, and like if that constant comparison, like Chase was talking about with Dallin, he was the best in the world for 4 years, and then was comparatively shit when he moved up. Do you know what I mean? And Torres has to manage that and bring him along until he's ready to fulfill his potential, which has to be hard to do. It can't be easy to do that.
Yeah, I think Matt learned his lesson from 2 years ago of having that many athletes, top caliber, in the same gym day in, day out.
Yeah. Our best program. Prism Mike. All right, so Krieger training in they got 10 votes, so that would be they had like fucking 12 teams or something at semifinals. just crazy. They worked with Peak 360. I'm trying to think, Matilda Garnis. Well, she was on that team. What individual did they work with? Seher Kea, didn't they? And
Yeah.
can't think of anyone else at the top level. Kristen Holte, who was back at Dubai like last week or whatever, 2 weeks ago. But yeah, mainly for their team stuff, and I guess their average everyday gym goer coaching too. No shortcuts. I think Andre Hude has incredible potential as a coach, like insane potential. When you see the effort he's putting in, you ever just want to feel like, I don't know, like there's a hope for the future of coaching. Just go and look at it, like in the sports side, just go and look at his Instagram and the stuff that he does, the stuff that he's implementing, his consistent drive for education. He has a huge future, I think. And I know fuck all. Invictus and Krypton, so that'll be Ben Smith's, both on 16 votes. The program, so John Singleton's training platform, in with 20 votes. HWPO in with 38 votes. Training Think Tank with 57. We're starting to see gaps appearing now. Now, initially I had this as best camp and changed to best program. And it's interesting to see, I mean, as a camp, HWPO shouldn't be there. But as a training program, when you think of how many people do it and, you know, all that kind of stuff, proven. Big jump now. We're up like 50 votes up there. Sentinel, 181 votes. Mayhem, 276 votes. So who's left?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Huh.
I don't think I've ever heard of one person who does Brute apart from athletes semifinals or above. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never seen anyone. Oh, there's someone.
Do they have like a casual everyday program?
Same with like underdogs, I think, right?
Yeah, case in point, Chase. Do they have a program? A case in point. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. It's like Mayhem. You fucking constantly see people doing Mayhem. Sentinel, same. Proven, same. Think Tank, same. HWPO, same. The program, same. Brute, 300 plus votes
over Mayhem.
I don't know. I think that's
interesting.
I think that's people saying, well, they obviously have the best program because they had James Dallin. You know what I mean? I think that's the way they read it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think
I would have thought
that and
got that.
Yeah,
Mayhem for sure. With the number of people that do the stuff that they do at all the different levels that they work.
Yeah, but like to your point, Pedro, like underdogs using that criteria should be somewhere on that list.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not on this list.
Street parking,
at least this high.
So street parking did get votes. It just got less than 10 votes.
Okay. Everybody wants their
It's a harsh reality of. Yeah. Oh, I'll get Bartley to slide me in right below Krieger with one vote. Yeah. One parentheses 1 by Seth, close parentheses. All right, best program. Right, here we go. Best athlete, social media, all the rest of it is just fluffer.
This will be interesting.
Just foreplay. All right. Rich Froning, Gabby McGowan.
Interesting.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought that those two would have been together, and I wouldn't have thought that Rich would have been that low.
I couldn't think of 2 more different social media pages.
Right.
Yeah, that confused me.
14.
This confused me a bit more, to be honest. I don't know how you. I don't know how. I don't know how one person more voted for Justin than Rich.
He's got a big family.
Maybe hunting. People don't like hunting.
I don't know. I can't see Justin's post, so.
What were you blocked for?
I have zero clue.
Oh, you don't actually know. You didn't even do. You don't. Not to your knowledge, you didn't do anything.
I don't know. I've not talked to him since
Since the last time you posted about Ellie?
September, or I mean, not September. Semifinals. Like it's been a long time. So I don't know. I showed up, and it was some reason I saw somebody post about him, and I was blocked, and then I was also blocked by Ellie recently.
No,
I don't know.
What'd you do to her?
Same thing. I have no idea.
Association hitter says. Hitter guesses.
It's probably true.
Hiller effect.
But I don't
all
even know
right,
if Hiller's blocked by either of them. So
Oh, I'm pretty sure he is. No. Valner. Yeah, Valner's social media is fine. Like, he's kind of funny. Like, I wouldn't say he's better than
Does he
Froning.
do like anything
Does
other
he-
than just like training videos?
He does some
maybe
stuff
he
with his kids. He does some stuff with like moving house, that kind of stuff. He's just kind of everyday, like, it's not polished. It's not like produced by anyone. It's just himself with his phone doing stuff. I think that's why I like it, because
Yeah.
it's like just normal shit. It's not overproduced or, you know, that kind of.
his end of event recaps are always interesting.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
a good.
very good.
And who does that too? Brent, Noah. I feel like
Yeah,
I started to pick up on that.
I'd say
a
Valner
few
is
do
the
it, but
original.
I think Pat does it the best. Like
Yeah.
he kind of goes into like all the details of every event and
Mhm.
what happened, which
They're funny too. Like, they're entertaining to read,
Yeah.
right.
which isn't very easy with event recaps. Taylor Self. Yeah, I mean, is there an American equivalent to Marmite, like, that you either love it or hate it, or it's just like I feel
Yeah,
like that's Taylor. That it's
a bit divisive.
Yeah.
But if you love it, you love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dallin Pepper.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd probably put Taylor above Dallin just for entertainment. I think Dallin's social media is good, like, it's fine. But I think Dallin really shines when I guess YouTube is social media, but Dallin really shines when it comes to like on camera talking or like post event talking or that kind of stuff, more so than here's a picture of something and I'm going to put a caption on it.
Yeah.
So is that is he the top of all the guys, and it's all going to be women now? Is that what's going to happen on this?
Perhaps.
That's a good question.
Daniel Brandon. I'm blocked by Danielle, so I don't know. Her Instagram could be incredible or terrible.
She was talking about
I
an
was briefly
audiobook
unblocked
today.
for.
It's pretty interesting.
I was unblocked for 6 minutes, and then reblocked. True story.
I'm like going through all
You
these
just
names.
love Dallin.
I'm blocked too.
I do love Dallin. I do love Dallin, but I can still objectively assess his social media prowess. Jason Hopper.
Ooh.
No.
Wow.
I'm not having that.
Wow. I'm
No.
shocked.
I'm not having him above Dallin.
Yeah.
Like his social media is not 27 votes better than Dallin's.
Interesting.
I can only remember one.
There's nothing wrong with
post.
his social media.
I can remember a couple posts. So Dallin and the collaboration reel with Danielle on Rain, but like in Hopper, his announcement of going to Brute. But I can't tell you another Hopper.
His trash talk
awful.
videos for the quarterfinals were pretty good.
What was it, brother? What was the thing he kept saying, brother? Was
It's
it
like brother Dallin out here like
he's a
dropping
fucking
nukes.
monk?
That was a good one.
He does put a lot of thought into his stuff, I guess. I know when we were at Crash, he wanted to do something, him and Dallin. He's like, he came up to me and Matt and John. He's like, hey, you guys, we need a good idea for a video that we can post on social media. I mean, like, there was like, what about this one? No, I can't do that one. What about this one? No, it's not going to be good enough. We need to have, I mean, he was very particular about what he wanted to do. So maybe that's why he's up there.
Yeah, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with his social media.
No.
I just don't think it stands out as being like really good.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember who's ahead of him. There's probably 3 people ahead of him, and I don't think he's the 4th best at social media. I think I'd say him and Dallin are very similar. when it comes to social media. And I think most of the posts that I can think of that I was like, oh, that was a really good one, actually, are collaborations between the two of them.
Right,
They're both of them together. Do you know what I mean? All right, Colton Mertens. Yeah, I think he's good at social media. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's been fun.
Like, and the thing
Would you
about
expect
Colton
him to know
is,
that much? Would you expect him to be like social media savvy like that? Like, he
I don't
doesn't
think
carry
he is
himself as a
savvy. I
person that
think
would
he's
think
just,
that way, you know?
I don't think he is savvy. I think he's just doing it. It's just natural that he's like, oh, I enjoyed that thing. I'm going to, like, he made a reel about the show that the debate show that he's on with me there recently. And like, other people don't do that. Like, they don't see
Right.
it to be done, or they don't think of it to do it. But he's just he's just a nice guy. And
He's
he
just
gives a shit,
authentic.
and he wants
He's
to,
to the
yeah, he
core.
wants to grow himself, and he wants to grow the people around him. So that's the way he does it.
Right.
That's why he goes, and especially when you think of the first time he went on Savant's show, fuck me, compared to now, like the growth he's had as someone
like,
who,
never
when
let
you
him
shove
come
a
on
camera
that
in his
show.
face or a mic, every show he does, he gives a soundbite, at least one soundbite. He gives an amazing like line, and it's like sometimes you can tell it's a pre-prepared thing that he's thought of, that, oh, this would be funny to say on that show and I'm going to stick it in somewhere. And other times it's just off the cuff. He says something, you're like, wow, shit, that was really good.
But I think something's switched though, right? Like, there was something happened in the last 12 months. Like, he either got more confident, he decided like he's going to put himself out there. Like, there was something that happened. I can't put my finger on it, but like a year ago, I don't think we'd have even close to the same conversation.
Yeah.
No, I think he just kind of let himself go a bit. And he was just like, fuck it, people seem to like me. So I'll just let more of like, every time I let little slivers of myself out, people seem to like it. So I'm just going to let more of myself out and assume people will like it. If they don't, they don't. But, you know, I think he's just such a good dude as well. Rebecca Fuselier.
Interesting.
Her page is killing it.
She's amazing on social media.
She's seen a lot of growth on her page.
Yeah, she is amazing at social media. Like, I don't even particularly like her page that much, but you can't not admire what she's done and the growth that she's had and the different things that she's tried. And she obviously has found her niche, and the fact that she does it, like, that she puts that much time and effort into it while also training, coaching, all the rest of the stuff. Yeah, I think she definitely deserves to be up there. Like, she can be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, her page is like really good.
It's a good one.
Podcast is shite, but the Instagram.
Oh, podcast.
Top of the list.
Yeah.
Savannah says Colton has the realest following in the sport. I'd agree with that too. Ariel Lowen, yeah, another one. Finds trends, follows them, finds what's about to hit, starts doing it. Has hired people to work on her YouTube. What's Erin does her YouTube spin, isn't it?
Erin and Ortega.
Some of it anyway.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Erin and Ortega.
Yeah, she's just really good.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I think the other positive for Ariel is because she's still so relevant in the sport and is still having a lot of success, and that makes it more engaging and more entertaining, as if that's not the only thing that she does. We get a better, I don't know, fun ride at it. And I like the humor and I like what she does. So she's done a good job.
Dylan's cool too.
And Dylan is cool too.
It's funny though, when you think about it, when you look at that top three, right? Even just the whole list, but like remove Froning for obvious reasons when I finish this thought. When you look at that list and you think of, apart from Froning and Vellner, say, the effort that those people have had to put into their social media to get it to where it is, and how far away it is.
Yeah.
From, like, think of James Bragg, just won the games. He should have over 1 million followers, but he probably never will. Do you know what I mean? That the effort that the athletes have, like the effort that Ariel Lowen has to put into her Instagram now to get it to anyway half decent compared to people like Rich Froning, who is literally like posting a picture of a fucking whiteboard, posting a picture of a flag or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it just took off because of the timing. It's crazy. Will there be a most masturbated? That's not how you spell masturbated. Masturbated to category. No. This is it. Yeah, it like, isn't that nuts though when you think about it, that the athletes coming in now would probably never have the following?
No
Danny.
Every time.
No Danny.
Oh fuck yeah!
I didn't even think about that. Although, how much are they
Danny
following?
didn't even make the list.
Those fans following the Hiller and Spin account to take a survey for Pedro.
No, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, fair. All right, best broadcasts.
Best broadcast.
High Rocks Worlds. So 2 people were high taking this survey. So High Rocks Worlds
4
and
people
NorCal.
were.
If you thought NorCal broadcast, which
Yeah, I was like, what?
exist? Didn't exist.
No.
It was on Instagram Live on Sousa's phone until it melted down.
True.
Yeah. If you thought no broadcast last year, unless you were there in person, was good, wait until you fucking see what's coming this year. Spincast got 3 votes,
Hey,
so
look at
that'll
that.
be Spin, Tyler, John.
That's right.
So Spincast got 3 votes. You guys fucking. I'm going to talk about you a lot when we get to podcast, but you guys fucking crushed it.
That's why I posted on the
this year.
stories to go vote.
Yeah. So equal opportunity survey. So even people with intellectual disabilities were allowed to vote for this, as is exhibited by our next number on the list. So Dubai got 5 votes. There was a lot of issues with that broadcast. Taylor versus the world. So the Open quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Fully deserves to be on the list. I think it should probably be higher on the list.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Because, yeah, and I'm not even, and it's hard for me to, like, people just say, oh, you're biased because whatever. But, like, it broke the mold, as in it did something that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
Which is fucking hard to do in CrossFit, to do something that hasn't been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should be higher.
Well, and it wasn't
it
wasn't just like regular fans. It was like that pulled in everybody, because it wasn't like games. It pulled in everybody, everyone that was doing the Open. I mean, like
every one of those Open workouts came down to the wire, or something dramatic happened. Like from the Open to quarterfinals, it was so cool.
But that's what's so great about the Open, is that everyone that was doing CrossFit does that.
True.
That's one of the unique things. So everyone was attached to that as it was happening. That's what I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't been that engaged in an Open, like head-to-head, in years.
Totally. Same.
Than I was on Taylor versus the world.
Yeah. And I think it filled a void as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a dead period where you're kind of like, oh, we need something to talk about, or
just waiting on the quarterfinals. Yeah, just waiting on the quarterfinal workouts to be posted, or the results.
Yeah,
and you actually had something this time.
Yeah. Tier Water Please SoCal. That's purely because of me and Chase, obviously. That's why that's up there. Tier Water Please in Miami got 3 more votes than its Californian cousin. CrossFit semifinals got 58 votes. Yeah, like that's fine. CrossFit Games got 100 votes. That should be top of the list. And yes. I'm not saying because it was amazing this year, but I just mean as the pinnacle of the sport, every year that should be number 1.
With a significant gap. Pick Crash as number 1.
Incorrect.
Oh, but damn.
Right? Right, dude? Look at that.
Oh, yeah, Rogue. That's a good point.
So, yeah, Crash was 164% better than the CrossFit Games. But I think that's just breaking the mold. Is that math's right? I don't even know. But I think again that's breaking the mold, because it's doing something that, okay, yeah, it has been done, but it hasn't been done in this way. Like it was
that
done
way.
differently. And it was more old school, grassroots, bootleg, like
Mhm. It was
you
more
know,
real, it was more raw, it was
Yeah.
more authentic.
Right.
It was less of the same.
It wasn't
the athletes
supposed
could
to
fucking
be.
hear Bill and John. So they'd be like, "Oh, she's
Well,
doing shit," and they'd be
John-
looking over.
More so John than Bill, but yeah.
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 John
He
just
didn't need
starts
a mic.
talking. He just starts talking. But it was great because it wasn't, the intent wasn't to be as polished as what the games is. Because if you try to make it super polished, then you are instantly comparing yourself directly to what that other thing is, which is the games.
Mhm.
And so the way you make it to where you don't sit in that comparison is you go the other way. So it was, let's just talk. I mean, we'll do the same things. We'll
Yeah.
talk about the races. We'll talk about the athletes. We'll talk our different ways, whatever. But it's the authenticity of being just real, not real for the sake of being polished and being professional, but real as, hey, we're all fans and we're all hanging out together and we're all talking about it together. I mean, Chase's been talking about this forever, that like you have the really pretty commercial side, and then you got everyone sitting on the couch at the bar talking about the game, and then invited everyone to sit at the bar with us and talk about the game.
Yeah. Plus,
It
the
was
main
fun.
games broadcaster this year sucked.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I think as well though, like the Will's ability to change things and adjust on the fly, and like I would have him marked as one of the most valuable people in the space of like the stuff that he can do. Like it was crazy to be standing behind the screen and watching. Like if I try and share my screen on this, I borderline freak out. If I have to click something thinking, is everything just going to turn off? And he's like hosting a live stream with however many thousand people watching it, and he's like changing the layout because it looks slightly better if it's a millimeter to the left from where it currently is, and he's able to do it on the fly. And just the stuff that he set up, he basically turned JR's gym into a studio and had all this different gear and equipment that I couldn't even fucking understand what it was for after the weekend was over. And he was using it and setting it up. And it's just like his ability to think on the fly, act on the fly, and anticipate problems before they become problems, and anticipate things that Bill and John and like Savan back in California, whatever they're going to need is crazy. It's just the team that Savan built for that was like next level. Just like it's just crazy.
With all the years that me and Chase have been doing like broadcast stuff, the thing that sets your commentators at ease is that the producer, your producer director, they're putting out all the fires, so you don't have to worry about any of it. You just have to do your thing, which is talk about whatever's going on.
Yep.
And it was crazy that Will was taking on the stuff that he was doing and switching from cameras. And I mean, and it was funny that we would at times like go and yell at him, like right there, like, Will, what are you looking at? Like, and he would just kind of look back at us and then literally looking at us and go and click the switch to get to the other camera. So it was really cool to be able to have that. But like he did take care of us, the guys that were talking, so that we could say whatever to give a broadcast, to give the commentary of what was happening for the people that were watching. And he was so like, he had like one level of either anxiety or nervousness or comfort or calmness. It was like all the same. It was just like, just kind of look at you like all slow, and then he would come back and he would kind of fix. And it was literally that fast. But then when it get done like that, it was crazy. He did great.
But even like you guys would be on the stream doing whatever, and he'd be making some in Photoshop, making some graphics that he needs in an hour's time, and he'd just be doing. Then he just change the camera, go back, do the thing, and he just have the headphones on, listen to what you guys are talking about. It's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Rogue is top, like huge gap between Rogue and everything else, but like they just fucking do it right. Now, what I will say is, if you were to take into account whatever the budget version of per capita is, if you were to take that into account between Crash and Rogue, there's a significant gap in budget. But like Rogue, I think every year everything gets better. maybe not programming, but everything gets better year on year. Like they have the spectacle gets better, the arena gets better, the way the arena set up gets better, the broadcast gets better, and it's because they're adding things or changing things or removing things or whatever. I think they're crazy good, like crazy.
Do you think that the games, if what happened to the games didn't happen to the games this year, do you think that it would be third? Do you think it would be first above Rogue? Because I personally, I honestly don't believe that there is a difference production wise between like the games. I'm talking the games, not specifically 2024, but like that and Rogue. Like, do you think Rogue, like what is Rogue doing different than the games to the games? Broadcast. I'm talking broadcast wise, not talking event wise. I'm talking broadcast.
Their alternate cast is next level.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's some
360
recency.
view, the side podcast coverage that they have, the pick your camera angle, the like that.
That
where
stuff
they-
is nuts. That's nuts.
That's where they like separate themselves from everybody.
Got it.
Is the extra coverage that they have in place is incredible.
I think there's also some recency bias in it too,
Probably.
to some degree.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And Bill's 100% is like everything centered around the games right now seems to be, a hot topic or,
Right.
a downgrade. And what happened at the games is another thing. Look, I'll speak truth is like Sean not doing the CrossFit games this year probably had a big effect on how people looked at it. And then Sean being there at Rogue at the same thing. So like there's a lot of things that go into it, but their coverage, though not dissimilar from the CrossFit games on their basic coverage, that extended premium coverage is revolutionary in how you follow the sport because it takes the happy-go-lucky fun cast that Crash has with everybody just kind of talking about the event, a little bit of spin cast in there as well, but like you be able to follow any lane you want, any athlete you want. Move when you have the ability to move the camera yourself to where you want to look, that's what everybody wants. For how long has it been since you watch semifinals of the games coverage where you're like, I want to see someone other than who's winning the whole event? Right? And Rogue gives you the opportunity because listen, if we're following the race, we're going to follow the people who are winning because that's where the race is. But at the same time, you get this alternate video with the same audio that you can follow whoever you want to see. And Rogue has done that to a degree that is like no one is even close to what they're doing from a broadcast perspective right now.
What was the event that Bergeron put on like back in Boston where they actually did that? They tried to do that one. Yeah.
They had a camera for every lane.
Every single lane, and you can choose the lane that you wanted to watch.
Yeah.
That's the first time I'd ever heard of anything like that.
And that was what, 2014?
Yeah, it was a while ago. Shit, 10 years ago? Damn.
Yeah.
What's everyone been doing?
Oh, Lord.
All right. Best podcast. All right. Rich Froning podcast. 5 votes. This should be higher. Kettlebells and cocktails.
Wow.
Put out like fucking
Wow.
three episodes this year, maybe.
Wow.
To the Rich Froning podcast. Oh,
Yes.
goodness.
And this isn't, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to John Woolley here, but he is not focusing on this. He's doing constantly varied conversations. I think they've put out like 3, maybe 4 episodes of that show this year. And for it to beat Rich Froning is just stupid.
Is the Rich Froning podcast the best produced one in the space?
The best what?
Produced.
Produced.
Podcast?
I mean, it's not live, so it definitely helps.
Well, I mean,
You've got like 5 cameras.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
Because the fact that it's not live and still engaging, usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And yet it's got 5.
Championship. That's what it was. CrossFit. Nice.
Be Friendly Fitness, 32 votes. Shut Up and Scribble, 51 votes. Get With the Programming, 65 votes. You can lord it over
There you
JR
go.
and Taylor.
Dude, right smack dab in the middle.
Corpus Animus, 76 votes.
Tyler
Talking
voted for
Elite
all
Fitness,
76.
80 votes. Talking Elite
Wow, I'm
Fitness,
kind of
80
shocked
votes.
on that one too.
The Spin,
Ooh,
107. I'm
nice
just going to go
job,
through all of
Spin.
these and then we're going
Nice.
to talk about them.
Oh,
Look at that.
I don't.
Look at
And this
that.
isn't me being like self-depreciating or whatever, but I shouldn't be that high on that list. Let's just call it spade a spade. The Savan podcast 427. Now, if you add the 51 from Shut Up and Scribble, which is technically part of the Savan podcast, that would go up to 400 and whatever. The only reason genuinely the only reason I'm that high on that list is because I put out the survey on my own at the start, and I'm pretty sure I was around 190 something by the time the others like shared it. Okay. This is sort of, for me, this is sort of like Tia in the female side, Savan's podcast in this, because I think it's got so many different like prongs to it or branches or whatever, and it's diversifying constantly. Whether it's like, it's like, what do you include as a podcast? So whether you include the behind the scenes stuff at NorCal, at, the games, all the different events and stuff, the mic'd up at Wadapalooza. If it's just pure podcast, it's still better. It's still a bigger needle mover. It's still better than everything else. The one I think that has stood out the most for me this calendar year is the spin, because I think that the formula for the spin is absolute perfection. Like the three, John, Tyler, and Brian work so well together. Sometimes, but not always, they have a guest on, but only for about 15, 20 minutes, whatever, at the start. Then it continues on. I think the layout of the screen is really good. The like what's next, like that stuff is good. There's different games on it every week. Well, not different every week, but like there's varying games every week. I think the amount of sound bites that come out of it, the amount of contentious opinions, mainly from John, that come out of it, the amount of like the amount of engagement that it gets. Like, you go on to any spin show from the last, say, 6-7 months, and it's because of the effort that Brian puts into it, 40-50 comments. Like, there was one week where there was fucking none, and Brian, what you were struggling to do at the start, you were like, guys, you need to do better. But like every week there's like 40-50 comments, which on a podcast is remarkable. And it's the fact that it's only once a week is another perfect addition to the formula, because you could overdo it. And I know you do extra ones sometimes if there's big news or something, but the fact that it's only once a week, I think the fact that you've added the spin cast is another remarkably good addition to it, whether it was at the games or the online stuff for Grid and whatever else. I just think that you guys have absolutely nailed, for the last 12 months, it's just been so impressive to watch. Like, you're heading for 10,000 subscribers. It's just remarkable, the growth of that from doing a show once a week. The growth that's there is like, you have to be so fucking proud of what you've done.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, I think we've added over 5,000 subscribers in the last 12 months.
Damn.
Wow, dude.
So over doubled. Just talking about the news and basically what I'm writing and getting their opinions. And
but how fast you are, but at how thorough, which is kind of funny, because the running joke was surface level news writing, and it's so far the opposite of what that is. Like the article you put up today, like how much work went into that and how quickly you assembled that. Yeah,
that was probably the most I've spent on an article.
Yeah. Well, and that's also one that you can't screw up, or could be presented poorly or taken poorly, and all of it will in some sort of, that's just the way everything is when it's just perception of what it is.
Sure.
But, I think the consistency of like just your layouts that you have and the way it's set up, it's so different and unique, and it has been a lot of fun to watch. And it's like the only evening show that is consistently on a weekly basis, and I do enjoy that.
Like
but
Thursday morning,
for Patreon.
Then,
but Patreon, I think as well, the thing is,
don't put yourself down, because the number of how far you've come in the last 5 years has been really fun to watch from the outside looking in, knowing where you were when you started, and you just having like, okay, I'm going to do this and just stick with it. but then the guests that you have on for what have you had Don fall on 3 times? And the people you talk to and the way you interview, I think is very engaging, because you're just doing it out of pure curiosity, right? Like Savan, his interviews is like he is constantly trying to find something, and he does a really good job with that, especially just the random guests that he'll have on the shows. I think Savan does a really good job of interviewing people because he has a genuine interest in trying to get something out of him. And yours is just like, you make people feel so comfortable that you start to get real conversations by the end of your shows, and what you've done on your own to like the videos you've started to make. And I think your podcast goes along with the fake news bits and the drunk CEO bits and all those kind of things, like is all wrapped into one. And the way you've diversified what you present over the last year, I think you have earned that spot, and you should just
Jason, I'm not
relish
comfortable
it in a little bit.
Phrase.
Relish it in a little bit.
Fuck up.
You want to know what's
thank you.
crazy about the whole podcast space is trying to figure out what it is that you're supposed, like, they always talk about with businesses or whatever, like what's your niche, like where are you supposed to be? And it's hard because like with Sevon, there really wasn't anyone in the space, and so he just did all of it, and he still does all of it. And the thing is that he etched himself a spot where he can have athletes, he can have affiliated owners, he could have Dave, he can have the Kill Taylor, he could do Crash, he could talk to a flat earther, he can talk to where like there is no limit to who he can talk to and what his realm is. His realm is everything. And that's cool because like, okay, well, you're never going to run out of conversation. Spin has been very news-like, and like, even though you do your comments and you kind of go through and you got your John's Mountain and all that kind of stuff, I really do feel like it sits in its one spot. Same thing with you, Pedro. Like it's the same thing. Like you're not trying to be Sevon. You're not trying to be Spin. You are doing your own way. And the people that you've gotten on your show, I think the reason that they do go onto your show is because it's like what Chase was saying, like there's no reason for someone to be nervous to go on your show. Like you don't put on an air of like, oh shit, here we go. I'm going to get asked something that's going to put me back into the corner somewhere, and I'm not going to know how to answer that. Because I know even like with me and Chase, like we'll start talking about, hey, what are we going to do this week? What are we going to do? And it's like, that's not really our area. Yep. Ooh, should we stay out of this one? Nah, we'll stay off of that one. And so our thing has been like, okay, we're just going to sit in programming because like, that's just where we are, and what we could talk about other things, but like, where does that fit and why? Like, what are we trying to do with that? Yeah. So I think it's really cool how everyone has gotten into their spots, and you can see the people that are over trying what they're trying to do, or trying to copy. And if you try to copy, it's like, I mean, it's going to be hard to step up next to what Sevon does. He has too many branches going off into too many places. He's like his own network. So to compete with that would be silly. But like, yeah, it's Spin and Pedro, you guys. It's just fun to watch
as well. Like you watch
stuff to watch.
You watch Savans and you're like, or Savans, sorry. I just realized I said his name wrong for the last 5 years. But you watch his and I find myself constantly being like, oh man, that's such a fucking good idea, but like unattainable. Like it's such a good idea, but only he could do it because of the team he's built and because of all this, because of the stuff he set in place. And then I find myself looking at Spin stuff being like, fuck, why didn't I think of doing that? Like, it's so, like, because it is more attainable, but it's like the ideas are so good. The ideas that you've put into play, Spin, are just so, like, I'm just so impressed by them. I think I've probably texted you maybe 3 or 4 times this year being like, God, the format you have is so good. Like, it's such a good idea. But like, it's just the reader comments thing. It's like, so, like once or twice I'm like, maybe I should do that. I'm like, no, you can't just suddenly start doing something that someone else has been doing and doing really well. But like, it's such a good basic but good idea that it's crazy that everybody isn't doing it.
To some degree, it's a copy from everybody else.
I think it's crazy how many there are as well, as in like that.
Because the Spin, the very first few episodes of the Spin, it was called a weekend review. And it wasn't really trying to copy Dave and what he was doing. It was just like, hey, we're just going to review what happened in the week. And it was like, well, that's kind of what Dave is doing. Let's change the name. And then later I came up with, well, put comments in there and we'll address them.
Well, because that's what everyone liked what Dave was doing. I mean, it's great. It's a great thing to do. You know, it's a totally great thing to do. Plus, you're going to be you're not going to be shackled by what can you say or what are you not allowed to say. You're like, oh, fuck it. We got John Young and he's going, that's trash.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just, they're trash.
Right. And I get to pick what we do. And we're not, it's like comments, not even just answer or questions. So it's a little bit of our take on that.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's cool, man. Congrats. All right, best podcast episode. Now these were typed in, so there weren't. So there's no standout like huge amount of votes because you didn't have the library to look at. So you had to go off memory or go off and find it yourself. So like there's going to be lower. So get with the program inside the leaderboard.
We made it. Hey.
Coach Dom, when he came on my show, that was like great. So I never ever thought I'd have someone reading Bible verse to me on a show. Don Fall, when he came on my show, Kill Taylor at the swimming pool, which like I don't know how that's not top of the list because that was just one of the like when the guy walked in front of the camera. There's just so much stuff in it.
Yeah, it was mainly Chase.
Like, it was
mainly Chase.
The fact that I thought I was in the show the whole time. Did I tell you guys that? They're like, oh, it's so funny when Savan kept bringing it on and off. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been talking for an hour. I thought it was the show the whole time. I was like, fine, I guess nobody wants to talk to me.
That's so good. Spincast, John Young, Strong Women. Yeah, like amazing. Spincast, Grid League. Again, mainly just John. CrossFit Jeopardy, Seth Gamble. Yeah, didn't he have like a crazy amount and just lost it?
He went all in twice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Vellner, recency bias there, I'm guessing. Taylor versus the World will, I was like, I assume it means like quarterfinals, like because it's just particularly good. And then Vellner and Fikowski on mine.
By far.
Yeah, I think that one, like it was a good talk or whatever. Like thankfully Spain messaged me and said, hey, you should probably just clip the bit where they talk about the PFA and just make that a separate show. Because loads of the comments were like, oh, it takes like 40 minutes to get into talking. It's like, yeah, perhaps not surprisingly, I had two people on talking about something and I didn't just go, hey, why the fuck do you want Dave fired? Like right off the bat, because I'm not fucking stupid. But yeah, I think I kind of judge stuff like this. So I kind of judge stuff like this by when it's a conversation type one like that. Taylor versus the World, Jeopardy, Spincast. No, I'd include Spincast in this. I'd view it as what did it spawn? So like what came off the back of it? So like if a conversation goes well, it's good or whatever, great. If a conversation goes well and then someone makes a video about it and someone writes an article about it and someone makes another video, and so then it's seismic, like it's done something or it's had an impact. And I think that and the two Spincast that probably spawned the most conversation and for varying different reasons. But again, when you look at that list and you look at the diversity that's there, like the options are endless in content. the all-time clip of that podcast, and this is exactly what we were talking about for the last topic. The way you're able to ask questions, it's so unassuming, and you can get in so damn deep with your questioning. Like you slid in there with those two guys, and watching Pat and watching Brent and their reactions and how they handled it was the most incredible thing I have seen on our CrossFit space on any show of anything. Watching Brent get like it's taking much longer than I need to get some water. Pat disappears for a while. I just kind of got up and walked away. And like, there were so many things that was like, oh my God. Like it's that was
all
a pure
up.
look. Like that was pure. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to corner them now and catch this
No,
thing.
it
Was just
wasn't.
like, oh, I'm
it
going to ask
wasn't.
that question, and then the whole fucking thing imploded. I was like,
it
I was
was-
as shocked as everyone else.
The way you did it, though, it was so. So was there like, I don't know. I heard maybe there was a meeting in California.
But even like the thing about it, like someone, I actually saw, I think I said this the other day, I searched my name on Reddit last week. And someone commented, and it was about that PFA thing. And it was about the fact someone said that I shouldn't have known what I knew and shouldn't have asked what I asked. And I was like, well, that's fucking stupid. Like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have known it, but I did know it. So I was going to ask it because I knew it. Like, I don't think it's a reflection on me that I asked the question. That's fucking, I'm not a journalist, but that's what journalism is, isn't it? Where you find the thread and you pull at it and see what happens. So I asked the question. I still don't, I need to watch it again because I still don't even fucking know what happened. But the guy said, I can't remember the wording, but it's basically like, oh, completely unsurprising. I met him once and he was a total asshole. And I replied to the message, to the post, and said, when did we meet? What did I do? And then I realized it was 3 months old, and it was so obvious that I was after searching my own fucking name on Reddit. And I was like, oh, maybe he thinks I'm egotistical or something. But yeah, like that was pure, like, I forgot about it. It was toward, like, we had finished talking about it, and then I was like, oh shit, I was supposed to ask that, and I forgot about asking it. So it was like way late. Like, it didn't even make sense timeline wise where I asked it because I forgot about it. And then I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just ask it anyway. And I'd say that probably made it look worse because it made it look like I had this like grenade that I was holding on to, having pulled the pin hours ago. I was like, oh god, I need to get rid of it. I just threw it. But yeah, it was fucking, that was nuts. Like, that was crazy.
It was great. Dude, my jaw was like, my mouth was wide open when I'm watching it happen. I'm like, oh, holy shit. Pat's getting up and walking away. He comes back, like, and then like the nervous laughing of what's happening. And is there a meeting that I didn't know about? Ha ha ha. I'm like, oh my God. Crazy.
This did get votes. I definitely saw it twice. So I'm assuming it was right underneath Get With The Program. And I think it suffered the fact that it wasn't recent. It suffered. And the fact that there was no list of best episodes, it suffered. But that was a pretty seismic show too. Fucking brave as well. All right. Creed. Best YouTube. The Program. They put out good stuff. Like, yeah. Like,
I gotta imagine it's more European centric.
Yeah, their guy, I think his name is Manny. He's good. Like, he puts out, it's good, high quality stuff. HWPO and Vakey. He was in the chat earlier on. I don't know if he's still here. Above them, yeah, like HWPO is good. Like, really, really well produced. Like, it's you know, it's not cheap, I'd say. Vakey's really good, really consistent. Like, he's got his finger on the pulse. He can see what's going to be a good video, as in a good topic or whatever. Constantly varied. What the fuck is TSP?
The Savant podcast.
The Savant podcast. Oh, but they're separating it from a podcast. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what, when I was reading the list, I was like, how the fuck did they get the same amount of votes as each other? But then I figured, oh, people voted for Savant as a podcast rather than, they didn't think of Taylor versus the World or Kill Taylor or whatever as a YouTube thing. They thought of it as a podcast, which we'll get onto that later on. Jason CF Media. I think his absolute best stuff is those 8 to 10 minute videos where he says, this is a thing that is happening in sport. This is this side of it. This is that side of it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think nobody does that better than he does it. And I just love to see loads more of that from him, because I think he's really, really good at doing that. Like, really solid. Like, really good.
Yeah, I like this a lot.
Proven. Yeah. Proven, really good. Buttery Bros. Team Richie. Wow. People must love just fucking houses, I guess, and like legends. Training Think Tank deserves to be up there. Mayhem, incredibly high-end production stuff, like really good. And Hitter Fit, like no brainer.
Right. Right.
Like one guy in a garage, and the amount of fucking content he puts out and the hit rate that he has, like basically every video out of the park. And then you're like, wow, like how does he go better than that? Like how does he improve on all these videos of all like this stuff and giving an opinion of it and giving it's basically like what Jason does. It's pretty much literally what Jason does, but on steroids. Like it's basically he takes that format and goes hard like against the wall on it. And then he starts doing the fucking road to the game stuff. The Haley video, Ricky and Alex, and you're like, oh shit, okay, he's fucking amazing at doing that as well. Like and then you talk to him about YouTube and you're like, you are thinking about things that I have never even knew fucking existed as metrics and ways of improving things. And like he should have whatever, like a doctorate in YouTubing, because it's fucking crazy how good he is at it. Even if you eat like, and I who the fuck said this? Chase, maybe it was you. I can't remember. Someone said it, that if you say whether you like him or not, maybe it was Sousa, whether you like him or not, that you should have to say that about like fucking Einstein. Whether you like him or not, he had great thoughts on equilibrium. But like with HillerFit, some people don't like that YouTube. But even if you separate yourself from the actual content and just focus on the growth of the channel, the different branches he's started going into and all the different stuff, like he's fucking untouchable, I think.
I've never seen anyone in the space be so graphically honest, like where he doesn't like just showcase whatever it is that you're doing or not doing or what you're saying or not saying, but like he takes the mirror and shoves it in that person's face so that everyone can see what's going on. So I know that I really honestly believe that like when people have an issue with him, it's because people's feelings are getting hurt for the things that they are doing or saying or acting like. And it's like, look, if you're gonna do and say or not say these things, like you're choosing to do that. I'm just saying it out loud what you are choosing to do. So don't get mad at me about that. You know what I mean? And he's always kind of had that little caveat of, I didn't say you did anything. I'm just showing you exactly what you did. I put up your post or your words or your video, your whatever. And especially I think I can, in the time that we are in right now, that's a tough, not a tough place to be in, but it's tough for people to hear those things. So I think that's why if people have issues, I think that's where they have their issues with them. But man, I mean, because when you talk to him normally, he's not aggressive like that. You know what I mean? I've never really seen it that way. I always are like, wow, he's just so chill. He's chill. And then he gets on there and he gets crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's just so good. Best YouTube video. 48 Hours at Erica Folo. I think if that was out longer, it would have had more votes.
Yeah, that was number one for me.
Yeah,
I thought
that was great.
While Haley was good, Alex and Ricky were good. I think his storytelling and documentary style has gotten better. And so that was like, you could see just the improvement of doing that. Like, it was more captivating for me to watch that one than the others.
That's fair. BTS of the Games, that came out in like
February.
Yeah, February. Mayhem's Lazar tribute. Yeah, it was really good video. Daniel Brannon documentary. Yeah, it was good. Like it was kind of propaganda, but it was good. Like it was very, but it was self-produced, I guess. Another Hiller video, Road to the Games. Anything by Hiller. That phrase was put in 20 times. Anything by Hiller. Any Hiller video. Wow. Taylor versus the World. That's like the third poll that's come up on. Kill Taylor. Buttery Bros 2024 Games documentary.
Huh.
And 48 Hours at Haley Adams.
Yeah.
And I will say that I don't know how it's not higher on this list. I need to talk to Bartley. Most unfriendly man in CrossFit, the Brian Friend video that Hiller did, was leading for like ages. like a really long time. Like I was like, oh wow, is that going to beat like Haley at the, I don't know. I don't know. It definitely had more than 6 votes. I don't know. I'll go back and look, but I really think it had a lot of votes. Yeah, I mean, Haley Adams. I think as well, the thing with the Haley Adams video was because it was like the first one of those that he did, it was like, oh, fuck, like that's amazing. And
well, it's so different from what he normally does.
Yeah.
It was like so caring and so thoughtful and so like empathetic. And so, I mean, it really showed a very, very nice side of Haley of like, hey, we can all rally behind her right now. And I think that's what it really did. And that's just not normally, he's usually polarizing to most people. So there was no polarization with Haley saying everyone moved to one side. It was great.
And she took a chance by doing it with him when people hadn't done it with him and she hadn't done anything herself. Like she'd been kind of quiet and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right. Let's go to this. Honorable mentions. So these didn't get a lot of votes, but they're just funny options. Train Think Tub. That was great. Taylor self shitting on Halpin, which so these are actual answers that were put in by people. Yeah, that was a regular occurrence for a while. Savan shows nudity with accidental screen share on the Oh, it's amazing. Taylor self talking about things going into or out of his asshole. He'd probably say butthole. But yeah, it's basically, I'd say 55% of his shtick is talking about his shtick or other people's shticks. Yeah, there's no, it's just like, there's just so much fucking good content. I
can't believe more people didn't, or nobody said the Colton versus Berman burpee challenge.
Yeah, there was a few votes for John Young's burpees.
Yeah.
Well, how many votes were on this? Oh shit. Oh, God. 6. Maybe there was like 4 or something votes for the issue. I think next year when I'm doing this, I think I will just compile a short list. Maybe the 4 of us will get together, compile a short list, and then offer that as options. Because I think it is hard. I think a lot of people skip this question, like 165 for the most votes on this versus 800 for the most votes on something else. I think a lot of people skipped it because they were like, they're like, oh God, I can't think of anything. Like my wife got to that part and was like, fuck it, I'm out. Like I'm not going into this. Okay. I'm cognizant of the fact, I can probably get rid of Jim. I'm cognizant of the fact that we've been here ages, but I just want to play a really quick game. Because JR keeps a list on his phone of quotes that he hears during the year. So I'm going to read out a quote, and then I want you guys to tell me who you think said it. So it's something that was said on either my show, Shut Up and Scribble, Get With the Programming, The Spin, or Savan's, one of Savan's. Okay. These are so good. Okay.
John Young.
If she didn't,
Taylor.
If she didn't know, she's stupid. If she didn't know, she's stupid.
John.
Oh.
Hiller.
Wow. Sevon.
That was White John Young talking about Emma Lawson. If she didn't know, she's stupid. Okay. Yeah, there's no rumors out there like she's fucked Max El Haj.
Taylor.
I'll say 7 on that one.
Taylor.
Actually.
Yeah, it was Sevon. Yeah, there's no rumors out there like she's fucked Max El Haj. Okay. You're a pretty good reader, dude. I don't know what you just said, but you're good at reading. I'll just read that one again because I fucked it up in the middle. You're a pretty good reader, dude. I don't know what you just said, but you're good at reading.
Tyler?
I was gonna say.
That was Andrew Hiller talking about Taylor. I just think no context quotes are just so good. Okay, boys, this shit ain't gonna fuck itself. I'm gonna have to do some ass pounding tonight.
Sevon.
Taylor.
Sevon.
That was Sevon.
Yeah.
Boys, this shit ain't gonna fuck itself. What a line.
Wow.
Okay. She's talking about how she's super fit, even though she looks like a whale.
Hiller.
John.
Savon.
That was John talking about Sporty Beth. She talks about how she's super fit, even though she looks like a whale.
Damn, John.
Okay. I got two more.
Big thigh thing.
Most of them just want to eat a bowl of cereal out of Danny's ass.
Savon.
Taylor.
Pedro.
No, that was Savon. That was Savon talking about, I think talking about Danny Spiegel's followers. Okay, last one. If everybody had a bicycle and Annika Greer had a bicycle, she would die and nobody else would die because she's the slowest one. Which is maybe the best quote of the year. If everybody had a bicycle and Annika Greer had a bicycle, she would die and nobody else would die because she's the slowest one.
Tyler.
John Young.
Yeah. That was John Young talking about Annika Greer. Everybody had a bicycle. It's just such a stupid drawn out line, much like this segment of the show. It's just such a stupid drawn out line. I was also going to do moment of the year, but I think we'll just call it there because they're having for 2 hours. Obviously, this time next year, we're going to be talking about how amazing Grid is, how it's taken over, how the Will Morad Foundation has taken over and its charitable work for orphans and everything else. And yeah, we're just gonna have so much shit to talk about. Just part is brutal. Yeah, there was a lot of silence there. I thank you everybody for watching for the last 2 hours and for the year. Thanks Chase, Spin, and Bill for coming on and giving up so much of your time. And for all the shit that you do for everybody. It's just great. Being part of the group is just like, gotta really just bring things to another level. Subscribe, because man, Spin, there was a time where you and I were basically locked on subscribers.
We were fighting for 5,000. You got me on 5,000.
Yeah, like a year ago. Great show, boys. Thanks, Mike Hunt. All right.
We just got week in review on Dave Castro.
Yep.
Oh shit, he's back.
Yep.
Chase, you and Bill are doing a show today?
Tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, when is that?
6:15 Pacific.
And you're going to go on a rant?
In 2 hours. No, sorry. In 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're going to go on a rant, yeah? People can expect a rant?
No, we're not ranting.
No, we're just talking.
Yeah, like maybe like an epiphany.
Pontificating.
We're going to talk about, with all these new things happening, why this could be the best thing for the CrossFit Games, because the CrossFit Games does not need to professionalize the sport or be like every other professional sport. So we'll go through all of that concept, ideas. I think it's going to be a great discussion and a positive outlook for everybody going into the next year.
Pacific, what the fuck, Chase? You're in Texas and Pedro's in Ireland.
I know I am. I'm sorry. It's me.
I guess you get
Technically, it's 8:15 Central is what it is.
8:15 Central time.
Spin, you're not. I assume you're not doing a show Wednesday as usual because it's Christmas Day. Are you pushing?
We might do one Thursday night. Yeah, we might do one Thursday.
Okay. Do you guys call that anything? Thursday, like the day after Christmas Day? Does that have a name?
No.
Time to take a treat.
We're not in Canada.
Yeah, in England it's Boxing Day and we call it Stevens's Day.
Oh, Stevenson's Day. Why?
Like Saint Stephen, and it's his day, so Saint Stevens's Day, but we just call it Stevens's Day.
Is he like the little brother of Saint Nick or what?
To say.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely don't know anything about him or why it's special or why it's. I think basically the government years and years ago, the government were like, "Fuck, I'm not going back to work. Like it's the day right after Christmas. We need something else." Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks everybody. Really appreciate all your time.